Hi, it's Anita from Team Springboard. It's seed sowing time again, but before you go out shopping to get new trays and pots, why not use food packaging instead?
Do you know what happens to plastic after you put it in the recycling bin? Not all of it gets recycled. It's just not that simple. Now it's time to sow seeds. Why not sow them in empty food containers? Instead of chucking them in the recycling bin, save your margarine tubs, mushroom trays and drink cartons because they can all be used as seed trays. Just put holes in the bottom for drainage because your seeds will die if they have too much water. I use a small sharp knife for this, but do be careful and keep the sharp side away from yourself. You could also drill holes into them. Fruit punnets are really handy and often have holes in the bottom already. Even egg boxes can be good. If you keep the lid on clear plastic ones, they can also act as a mini greenhouse. I wish it wasn't the case, but most food comes in excess packaging these days, so we might as well try and give it a second life before it goes for recycling. Pretty much anything can be used if it's deep enough to hold soil, so about 2 inches, and if you've put drainage holes in the bottom. You might buy different food to me, so just look at what you've got and see how you can use it. Toilet rolls are good for larger seeds like peas and beans. Blue rolls also make a good middle ground for seedlings that need their own space when they've got slightly bigger, before you put them into large pots. Here I create a tray by cutting one side off a milk carton. Don't forget to wash it out first and put your holes in the bottom. The same carton could be used the other way round to make a pot for when your seedlings get bigger. Don't forget the holes. As you're probably growing indoors, you'll want a tray underneath, but if you don't have any of those, just reuse a food bag to catch drips instead. They shouldn't drip too much, because you're not going to water them too much. You're only going to keep the soil consistently moist. If you're growing lots of different seeds, you're going to need to know which is which. When you buy something big like a washing machine, it has this flat white cord wrapped around it. You end up with a lot and it's pretty useless for anything else. But you can make loads of plant labels with it. Just cut it into lots of little pieces and write on it with a thin permanent marker. It's a bit textured, but it still works. Basically anything you have that's water resistant can be used, as long as you can see your writing on it. Again, drinks cartons work really well. Just cut them open until they're flat, give them a wipe, and then you can cut them up into labels. Cutting points at the end mean you can easily poke them into soil, and you'll never get your cauliflowers mixed up with your cabbages ever again. To show that these trays are okay to grow in, I've sown some seeds myself. I've gone for garlic chives. I haven't got the right kind of compost, really it should be finer and less rich, but I was making do. I like to moisten my soil before I put the seeds in. We all do things differently. One of my favourite watering containers is an empty vinegar bottle. I like the nozzle at the top. Here's another tip. If you haven't got cell trays, you can create divisions yourself. Again, I cut up pieces of an orange juice carton and separate the tray into sections. Then, as my seedlings grow, their roots are less likely to be tangled together. The rule about seeds is you put them in at a depth of about twice their thickness. So bean seeds go in much deeper than tiny lettuce seeds. Don't forget to label your tray when you're finished. And if you don't have anything to use as a tray, just put it on an old tea towel to absorb any drips out the bottom, and then just be careful not to overwater it. This time I've planted basil in some mushroom packaging. You can never have too many basil plants. I've created cell divisions again with my carton packaging. After sowing the seeds, I've pinched the soil over them and sprinkled a bit more compost on top. As I didn't sieve it though, I've removed the big chunks I can see sitting on top. If you leave some containers without holes in, you can use those as trays. This one isn't a perfect fit, but it still does the job. I've used an even more random bit of plastic for the label here. This little bit broke off the seal when I opened a can of paint. We throw bits of plastic away all the time, and even a little piece like this can have a second life. And here's another use for a fruit punnet. The clear plastic works really well as a propagator cover. Containers and trays can be all sorts of random. By cutting the lid off this old video cassette case, I got both a tray for underneath and a lid on top to keep my seeds warm. They might not look as pretty as things you buy in the shops, but reusing your empty food packaging is good for the environment as well as for your pocket.